Before exploring the Santa Anas, a nice steak lobster meal mixed with grilled cucumber and a smorgasbord of fruits such as strawberries and blueberries and blackberries are some of my favorite treats before the next day hitting on the trail. The hike we're going to be experiencing is the Sitton Peak hike in the Cleveland National Forest. We're going to be exploring the area, and our drop-off point is Ortega Highway. Ortega Highway is probably one of the funnest roads to go on, especially if you have a little Miata to schmob in. Yet we're not schmobbing in Miatas. We're going to be hitting the backcountry, the mountains. Our first point is Bear Canyon Trailhead. Bear Canyon Trailhead winds through the switchbacks of the Cleveland National Forest till we make our way into Bear Canyon. From Bear Canyon, we'll continue further. A trail guide and map are provided, as well as local dangers such as mountain lions and rattlesnakes that can easily kill a man. San Mateo Canyon Wilderness is a section of the Cleveland National Forest, and as well, when you're going in these wilderness areas, you must sign in and out when entering and when leaving. Also be aware of the local horse shit on the trail, since horses are allowed on these trails, and you might be lucky enough to come across a few horseback riders while on your way in Santa Anas. But just make sure you don't step on it. Sagebrush and small patches of oak trees dot along the trail, giving protection to anything under the sun. Beautiful, picturesque landscapes are at nearly every opportunity when climbing these mountains. Small white-tailed rabbits dot the landscape, but don't get too close, for if you startle them, they'll scurry off and run away. As you head into the San Mateo Canyon Wilderness, chaparral and oak trees give a sense of a strong forest environment, unlike that of most of Orange County. Along the trail, recent rains provide a greenery that freshens the mind, next to large oak trees to provide shelter for the birds and other insects. As you make your way along the trail, you'll find a fork in the road, either taking you to Morgan Trail or to Four Corners. Huge rocks, some 20 feet high, 15 feet across dot the landscape. Beautiful wildflowers can also be seen along the trail amongst the endless chaparral that covers the landscape. Offshoots on the trailhead give you a place where you can take a picture, sit down, get something to eat, have a drink, and provide rest. I spent at least 10 minutes here just sitting, watching the view, listening to the birds, and just taking it all in for the adventure I was taking. When you're hiking by yourself, you want to make sure that you're not only prepared, but you make sure that you have a healthy state of mind. As you head on the trail from taking in some of the sights, just make sure that you don't step on a snake, and definitely watch out for rattlesnakes. As you continue trotting through the trail, you'll reach Bear Canyon. Bear Canyon is a great place where you can again stop and rest, grab a bite to eat, maybe some trail mix or whatever else you have in your pack, and just take a good breather. But you'll reach an intersection where you're going to have to either go right or go straight. Well, we're going to take an immediate right from Bear Canyon Trail to Four Corners, about 1.1 mile in distance until we reach Four Corners. The other area is a ridgeline trail that will also take you to Four Corners, but we didn't do that, and so we just went on Bear Canyon Trail. During this section of the hike, make sure that you're well rested and hydrated. There is no trees along this part of the trail, and it can get quite hot pretty much whatever time of the year, but especially during summer where the temperatures can easily reach 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But as you tread along, you'll find a small patch of trees and then immediately reach Four Corners, which is really 5 corners. I don't know why they call it Four Corners, but it has 5 corners if you look at Google Earth and see all the imagery. But it's another great place to rest, hydrate, and get prepared for the next section of the hike, which will be to Sitton Peak. You take an immediate right when you reach Four Corners, and you'll find this sign right here that says Sitton Peak 1.7 miles. Well, let's continue. Once you decide to leave Four Corners, make sure that you don't have any gear that you might have left around if you decided to rest, and maybe open your pack up. Now, as you start to leave Four Corners and head to Sitton Peak, you'll find wildflowers all along the trail, and they're usually going to be a red wildflowers. I don't know the actual name of them because I'm not a florist or anything like that, or a wildlife expert, but you'll start to realize that the trail will get bigger. I mean, this trail starts to get so wide I could fit a Ford F-350 if I wanted to on this trail, and it becomes really rutted, however, so the ride's probably a little bumpy. But as you see this sign, it shows that you're about a mile away from the Sitton Peak Trail. So just make sure that you're knowing where you're going at all times. Try to look for those signs. As you continue through the switchbacks of the mountains, you'll find this massive canyon right next to Sitton Peak, whereas you head to Sitton Peak, and it's just really beautiful. I stopped here just for 10 minutes alone, just looking at this beautiful canyon, partly cloudy sky. It was just an amazing experience, especially when you're taking it all in and really enjoying the time that you're having. And right up there is Sitton Peak and the trail that leads up to it. We're going to be heading up there, and it's going to be probably the most strenuous part of the hike. Very vertical, so if you have trekking poles, that's very much needed, but it's not required. But I didn't have any trekking poles, so you'll be fine. Here's a look of the canyon. I don't know what the canyon is called, but it is a beautiful canyon. At the very bottom of the canyon, you can see large trees that run along a small creek, and I'm sure during the winter time, the rainy season, it looks very beautiful. Here's me again, just taking it all in at the beautiful scenery along the trailhead. Now, as you can see by what I said earlier, the dirt is incredibly red and it's really gorgeous to look at. Large stones are engraved into the soil, providing a very rocky but elegantly beautiful Mediterranean semi-desert landscape. Now, a uniquely unexpected part of the trail was finding this little area. Now, this is not really unexpected. This is just a water containment area for natural wildlife, but there was no water in it, and I really don't know what it is. But that's besides the point. What was actually more curiously interesting was the fact that there was part of an airplane. Yes, an airplane. I was surprised to see this. It's pretty large too. I mean, the longest piece is at least 20 plus feet, and this piece right here looks like it's been shot through bullet holes. But it was pretty interesting to see this. I wonder what happened here. It has to have been a plane crash. I'm gonna guess in the 80s, based off the type of construction of the wing. But again, just make your way along the trail once you're done seeing that, and just take in all the natural smells and flowers. And immediately once you go past that, it's really only like 0.1 mile, and then you'll reach the trailhead for Sitton Peak, where you'll start climbing up the large peak. And here we are right here, Sitton Peak. We're gonna take this trail that goes off the main trail that we were just on, and we're gonna head up this very steep slope. I was on my knees and hands probably half the time going up this trail, because one, you're carrying a phone in your hand trying to film it, and two, you don't have trekking poles. So it's pretty funny if someone saw me. Luckily there was no one there that day. I think out of this whole time I was here on this trail, I saw 3 people, and that was when I was leaving. So take that into consideration, especially if you want to leave on an early Monday morning. There's not going to be anybody there. Now once you start to get exhausted, and to be honest, it's a pretty strenuous part of the trail, just make sure you take a breather, look back, calm yourself down, calm your heart rate down, and just continue to tread along the trail. Now, as you can see, that was the water containment slash airplane wing area that we were just at, and it gives you kind of a scope of how far we've climbed up this mountain face. Now, remember to take a breather, look around, and make sure you can catch your breath. As I zoom in out here towards the distance, you can actually see parts of Ortega Highway, which is pretty interesting. It shows you how far we've gone as well in terms of the grand scope of this hike. Now once you reach these section of rocks right here, you pretty much reach the top of Sitton Peak. And what's nice is it forms a natural couch along the rocks, so you can actually sit back and relax and take your time. And also what's nice as well is that there's no insects or spiders that I saw on this thing for some odd reason. So you don't have to worry about some spider or some ants crawling on you, or if you're sitting here for an hour or so eating a meal, you don't have to worry about insects getting on your food. Now from here you get 360-degree views, so I'm just going to be quiet and have you guys take it all in and just enjoy the time. Now as I zoomed in off to the distance, that was actually Santiago Peak. But again, we're here at Sitton Peak at 3,273 feet. Off in the distance you can also see the Pacific Ocean and the rest of Orange County, which is pretty nice. and as you can see, the clouds are rolling in as well. Lizards were the only animals that I saw on top of this mountain, which was ironic considering the fact that I have 3 cats and they bring in lizards every 5 seconds of the day. Now, after spending about an hour on top of Sitton Peak, I decided to make my way back down into the canyon, and as you can see, the clouds had completely covered the whole area, which allowed me to get a lot of shade and a lot of that early hiking sweat off of me. I actually felt really good by this point. I started checking out some of the plant life, like this plant right here. I don't know what it's called to be exact, but if any of you guys know it, put it in the comments, and I'd greatly appreciate that. And as you can see, some small cliffs that are pretty unique, as well as these weirdly shaped stones that are huge if you stand right next to them. Some of them look like teeth. But this was really the hike that I went on and explored the area in. It's called the Sitton Peak hike, so if you want to look it up, just do a simple Google search and you'll find dozens and dozens of options. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video that I have presented to you. I'm new at this, so I'm not the best at editing at perfect moments, but as you can see from here, that's all the way in the distance is where we hiked to. Just an absolutely beautiful area, and if you guys would really help me out, make sure you hit a like, and if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, hit subscribe. It really does help, and I do really appreciate it. Thank you.